What's up, everybody? In this video, I'm going to show you the best books for beginner artists. There's 4 fundamental books that I'm going to show you guys. The hardest thing to do when you're starting something new is to figure out the first steps. Because if you take the first step correctly, it'll give you motivation to keep going. And these 4 books that I'm about to show you guys are the best fundamental books that you can get on art. If you go through it and do the exercises, it'll level you up to where you actually understand what to do with the next steps. So I'm just going to jump in and show you these 4 books. I also have a bunch of other books. I'll probably show you guys those too. So here we go. The first book in this best books for artists is Figure Drawing and Design and Invention by Michael Hampton. This is the best book on designing different poses. So if you're into like character creation, storytelling, things like that, the most important thing is figuring out how to pose a realistic character and kind of invent different things. So if you're gonna write a comic book or like illustrate different scenarios, this is a great book. They basically breaks down the body into like different parts. It shows you how to do gestures. Last week I did a video on heads, and this is the book that I used. But drawing heads is a very small part of this big giant book on the figure itself. So this is the first one. There's also a bunch of videos that Michael Hampton put up on YouTube that I kind of follow along with this book. And so far I'm really digging it. So far I'm really loving what this book has to offer. So that's the best one to get if you want to learn character art or designing human bodies or figures or inventing different scenarios. This is a really great book. The next book, I think a lot of artists will talk about this book, is a book called How to Draw by Scott Robertson. This is a really important book because it teaches the fundamentals of perspective. And when you're drawing, the major thing that you're trying to do is you're trying to, it's kind of like a magic trick. The thing you're trying to do is you have this 2D medium or material, and then you try to put realistic objects that are in 3D on here. So you have to kind of figure out how to show that using perspective. And this book is really great for that because it walks you through all the way from the beginning, teaching you the fundamentals of perspective, all the way down to like designing really cool things like these vehicles and buildings and different parts and things like that. I haven't actually gone through this whole book. I've read it, but I haven't done the exercises. What I've learned about when I'm reading art books is it's not about reading them. What matters really is doing the exercises on here. With this book, there is I think there's like 10 or 12 tutorials that he shows on here, and all the tutorials are very much related to the topics that he covers in this book. So I think this was like $50 on Amazon, but it's totally worth it. I highly recommend you guys check that out as well. All right, this next book is called Framed in Ink. Basically, what this book is all about is composition. So whenever you're drawing stuff, one of the most important things to figure out is how to tell a story with how the light and how you place the objects in the frame. And instead of just inventing the composition, this book breaks down exactly what each element in the image conveys as far as feelings and emotions, depending on how you lay it down and how to render lights and things like that. So this book is basically based on how to use composition to tell story. It's pretty important part of any kind of visual storytelling medium. So I haven't done the exercises on here yet either because I'm still starting my art journey and I'm still working through this book. But after I go through this one, I'm probably going to pick up this one on composition. Now, the last fundamental book is Color and Light by James Gurney. This book is basically how to take sketches and apply color and light to them. This is a really favorite book for painters and concept artists and illustrators. It just basically goes through color theory, composition, how light works, black, white, gray theory, how to use light to draw the attention of a viewer. Just just important things that most artists need to kind of understand and know about. All right, so those are the fundamental books. If you're gonna get these books, they're a pretty good place to get started. Another thing I'm gonna say is these are just like starting places. So when I'm studying figure, for example, right now I'm trying to learn how to draw hands, which is kind of hard, and I've read the section on hands in this book, and I've seen the tutorials by Michael Hampton, but I'm still kind of having a hard time with it. So my next thing is I'm gonna take these ideas and look at other resources from the internet and other books to see where there's an intersect of ideas, and then try some other ideas out, and then kind of combine those ideas together and things like that. So this is a good place to start. And I feel like when you have a book, it just kind of gives you like, it just tells your brain, hey, I'm actually committed to this thing. I'm gonna actually do it. So it's almost like a promise that you're making yourself. You're like, hey, I'm gonna learn this, and you buy it, and it just kind of sits on your shelf, and you kind of work through the book, and you can always come back to it. And slowly, as you progress, you can kind of see yourself, getting better and better. So that's kind of the idea of these fundamental books. All of them are kind of like that. There's like, a bunch of things you can learn from this starting point, but inevitably there's going to be missing things in here that you'll need to go, find on your own. And another thing you can do is you can actually reach out to some of these people and, actually get like teaching or coaching on some of these ideas. I think I will at some point get a coach to help me become a better artist. But let's leave this here. I'm gonna kind of show you some of the some of the supplementals, or let's see if I have them. Oh hell yeah! Nice. There's also like some supplemental book that kind of builds on top of the skills that are taught in these 4 books. The first one is called Perspective Made Easy. This book is like 100 years old or something, but it's just the simple idea of perspective. And it kind of breaks it down into its most basic parts. And I read this book because in Scott Robertson's book, he just jumps straight into perspective, and I didn't really understand what he was talking about. And someone from the internet recommended I check out this book before I check out this one. So that's the reason why I brought Perspective Made Easy by Ernest Norling. Bridgeman's Book of Hands. I just found this on my bookshelf. I must have had it from a long time ago, but yeah, this book is supposed to be really good on like teaching the anatomy and posing of hands. So that's the reason I got that. A couple other books. This one is called Nature Journaling, Law's Guide to Nature Journaling. I got this book because I have a business, or we have a business. It's called Quail Mail Club. It's pretty cool. It's about like hiking with your kids and things like that. I'm the illustrator for it, so I'd have to do a lot of nature illustration. So I just kind of wanted to pick up a few tips and tricks, and this book is pretty cool for that. So I got that one. Let's leave that here. This book is really awesome. It's by Suny Brown. This book is the idea of using visual thinking. And the reason why I got this book a few years ago actually was because the way I teach my science class as a 7th grade science teacher is by using something called sketch notes. Basically, I draw science concepts out, and the students kind of, as I'm drawing, I'm kind of explaining the lesson. So instead of staring at a PowerPoint, they draw along with me as I'm explaining things, and doing that has really helped get the students engaged in what I'm talking about, and it's also easier for them to remember what I'm talking about as well. So it all kind of started off with this book, The Doodling Revolution by Suny Brown. It's a really great book. So I got a couple books when I was in Japan. This one is about these are old books, and this one's about geisha in Japanese culture. It's pretty interesting. These are old Japanese woodcuts prints. It's really interesting how different cultures have created art throughout the ages. And, I picked this up when I was in Japan. This one also, it's about swords of Japan, like different katanas, like historical katanas and things like that. Yeah, I just really like Japanese culture. Like this is a it's a cool book. So that's why I picked those up. Now let's do some inspirational ones. So one of the reasons why I wanted to get into art now is because I want to kind of tell stories through art, and this guy Armand Balthasar, he's an author and illustrator, and this whole book, like every page has like every couple pages has like illustrations of the story that he's writing, and I want to kind of do this similar type of work someday. So I got this book just to give me some inspiration and something to aspire to at some point in my life. I mean, look at this thing. It's a beautiful book. He wrote this for his kid, and he illustrated it, and it's just lovely. I'd love to do something like this someday. So, inspirational. Another source of inspiration is these books. The Harry Potter illustrated versions by Jim Kay. Man, these books are beautifully illustrated. I think he uses traditional media, but like, look at these. And it was cool to see a book that I loved as a kid being illustrated like this, because I really didn't like the movies. Because I read the book so many times when I was a kid, and the characters and the how the world was depicted in the movie. The movies were like, based on reality, where I read these ones are like just really whimsical and just like look at this. This Dumbledore looks amazing. Yeah. And yeah, again, these books are also like inspirations and something to aspire to, because someday I want to write a book like this and illustrate it, and maybe some kid in somewhere would like read it and feel the same way I felt when I was reading Harry Potter. Yeah, that's about it. Actually, there's there's a couple of these books. So there's 4 of them out right now. So this is the first one, The Sorcerer's Stone. The next one is The Chamber of Secrets. Every couple of years, Jim Kay just like releases one of these books. Yeah, they're fantastic. And then the next one is The Prisoner of Azkaban. I mean, look at this. Lovely. And then this last one, I just got it a couple of weeks ago. The Goblet of Fire. There's some really cool paintings in here. This is the Visiting Cup tournament they went to. Look at that. I mean, the perspective's a little off. The lighting is like not perfect, but like it's just so whimsical. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's supposed to be, perfectly representing reality. He just kind of interpreted it this way, and it just looks so good. Like even better than, like a technically perfect illustration, like one of these. Like there's so much more character on this one than this one. And I think it might be because of how, the brushwork, and like you can see the pencil work here. You can kind of see like it's grungy a little bit. There's like texture built on here. It kind of looks like he might have just even like, put something on here and just like took a brush and just kind of went over it. I mean, I just love the look and feel of these type of books. So even though I do work a lot on digital, like looking at pieces like these just makes me want to like try and do some watercoloring or like gouache or acrylic and things like that. So yeah, so these are some of my art books that I've been collecting. I'll probably collect a lot more. I also have this one. This one was not the best. Fantastic Beasts. I'm ready to find them. It's kind of trash. The art isn't like. I mean, yeah. I'll just leave it here. I mean, I'm sure the artist was told to do a certain type of drawings. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not anywhere the level of Jim Kay's illustrations. So, all right, I'll see you guys next week. See ya. Yeah, let's see where this goes. I'll keep making videos as long as it feels good to do them. So far, it feels great. So, yeah, see you, everybody. Talk to you soon.